Tonight, we will go deep into the realm of the unknown and question everything as we search for the truth. We will explore the possibility of countless phenomena within the ultraspectrum, and together we will learn that it is all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association, and it is a live stream broadcast. If you have a question, send me a super chat or become a YouTube member. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. Take a seat, relax, get ready, and welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.
Hello, everybody. Today is Thursday, March 10th, 2022, and I, Ryan Stacey, am your host this evening. I'm a licensed private investigator, a citizen journalist, and the Director of Investigations for the Experiencers Support Association. I am the former National Chief Investigator for MUFON Canada and the former International Field Investigator Trainer for MUFON in general. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for joining us this evening. To super chat, just click the $sign next to your name in the comment box. And if you're in the observation deck, we are inside the Experiencer Hall, so I can see you right here. Go in, put in your comments and questions in the chat box, and I'll include you into the show. Tonight's theme is humanity and diplomatic contact with extraterrestrial beings. Our guest for season 4, episode 8, is Sylvain Rochon. Did I say that right? He's laughing. I was practicing this in the back. Anyway, Sylvain is the co-founder and vice president of the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact, AEDC, a Canadian futurist and a serial entrepreneur in technology. His companies include a psychometric company called CykoMetrix, the Canadian Institute of Mass Communication, and the think tank Intellectual. He's been an educator for over 20 years, and through his initiatives, Sylvain attempts to change how humanity thinks of itself. It is his mission to help humanity transition towards a golden age of understanding in which we will start having regular official contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations to help prepare humanity for this big leap. Sylvain has published dozens of articles in multiple online magazines, including Data-Driven Investor and Becoming Human and Director Today. In 2018, published a non-fiction book entitled Engineering Paradise, Are You Ready? Sylvain holds a bachelor degree in biochemistry, chemical engineering, and education, and lives in Ottawa, Canada. There's a lot of information here which he was withholding because I've been talking to him for a very long time, and a lot of these things that I was unaware of. So I'm very happy about that. So we're going to get into those tonight. So Sylvain, put on your tinfoil hat. How are you doing this evening?
How am I doing with the hat?
You're doing great. You're awesome.
I should have brought a hat.
How you doing?
I'm doing really great. That's a good intro, and thanks for inviting me here. This is really amazing, and it's important what you do.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Just so everybody knows, this show is going to be an hour and a half because he has another commitment to head over to, but we will do a after chat afterwards, so please stick around. So our icebreaker question from Cece tonight is, if you were presented the opportunity to travel into space, would you? And if yes, where would like to go, and why?
The answer is absolutely yes. I've dreamt about this for many years. There are risks involved in today traveling in space with using our engines, but I don't really mind the destination. Like, it would be anywhere. I would be satisfied with the moon, Mars. I would not go to Venus because death if you try to land there. But just the experience of seeing Earth from space in itself is transformative. And the very practice of setting feet, let's say, on another stellar body, even if it's the moon, the closest, which is about 3 days away ride, would be fantastic, right?
Mm-hmm. Good answer. I think for me, I would just like to just go to space in general, just to prove once and for all we could get there for myself, and then I would just take a look down to verify that what I see is what we're shown, and then go from there. So there's a lot of CGI out there with NASA, so it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to,
yeah, you got to experience it for yourself to really be sure, right?
Science is there, but anyways, we're not going to go there. Anyways, so no, that's great. So great question, CC. Thank you so much for that. The first question I always ask is, of course, why are you the way that you are? And what I mean by that is how did you get to get to where you are today? Like what created you? How did this start?
Well, there's essentially two things in this. One part of me is I have no idea where it comes from. Like, it certainly doesn't come from either of my parents. I, at a very young age, for some reason I can't fathom, just like inside me, I wanted to save the world, and to quote myself when I was younger, to the point where when I was about 12 to 13 years old, I started having heavy migraines, in part because I had a severe anxiety due to my incapacity or powerlessness to actually affect any change. Right. Okay. So I already had that inside me, and it's not a learned behavior. At least I don't nobody thinks it was. It's just kind of born that way for some reason. So so that's always been with me. That kind of idea that I must somehow affect positive change into the world, which I think propelled me in my later years to become what I call myself, the Paradise Engineer. Right, to this moniker that describes what I try to do in the world, right, to engineer a better future. But of course, some of it has been completely learned. I've actually had amazing parents and surroundings. I was raised in a small town outside of Ottawa, in a very small village, less than 1,000 people, lots of cows, wholesome environment, countryside, good air, good exercise, all that stuff. And my mother was an educator. My father was working hard, driving buses, nothing too special, but just good upbringing, very healthy and free. I was let loose to think and be who I wanted to be. So again, I applaud both my parents for basically just more guiding me than directing me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And thankfully, I had I have a good mind. So I did good grades, went to university, studied a bunch of degrees in a very short amount of time, which was very useful because I don't like school. So doing my degrees in a shorter amount of time was, having the ability to do that was great. Got out of that, started working in something completely different from what I thought, because I thought I was going to be a scientist, save the world that way, so to speak. Ended up teaching. By happenstance, really. Fell in love with that because I didn't know I enjoyed that, and then got my degree in the education. And ever since, I've been in some way in the education. I still am. Right now in this podcast, that's still, to me, it's performance and education, right? You're educating people about something, some concept or some. And I love talking about the future, talking about science and scientific fact, and also sort of research and knowledge and understanding the universe and all that stuff.
Great. No, and I sense that too. And as I mentioned before, with the conversations we had leading up to this, that's information you withheld. And you know what? And as a fact checker, that it makes sense to your character too, because I totally can see that. I'm not surprised, even though I never asked and it was never mentioned. I'm happy to hear that. The part I'm missing is how that led you to extraterrestrial. So have you had any extraterrestrial or paranormal contact prior to what we're about to get into tonight?
Well, that's I find that peculiar. Like in my case, I have never had any kind of UFO or ET experience whatsoever. I dream about it. I'd love to have something like that happen. I think it would be really cool. But that's not something that has happened to me. I've met others that have. But when I was about 13 years old, again, I'm living in the countryside, right? And this is 80s, in the 80s. Yeah, that makes sense. So no internet, that's, you got your corded phone and your neighbors. That's basically in libraries. Like, that's your source of information, right? Well, my father was separated from my mom at the time already, but good relationship, so no problems. Brings home these books, and I was reading basically anything under the sky, right? I was like about space, science, philosophy, ancient history, basically anything, just reading everything I could. And even then, I was trying to figure out, like, what's the universe? Where do we come from? Like the fundamental questions a person asks herself. And of course, I went into the paranormal, right? So ghosts and ETs and whatever else, because that's part of the universe. It's part of the language. Do they exist? And I was asking myself all these questions, and I was, being educated to be a scientist. So I was asking what I think was the right question, like what is the evidence, and how strong evidence there is, something that you definitely would understand, being evidence-based type of thinker. And then my father brings home these books, and books written by at the time guy called Claude Vorion, who called himself Rael, right? Brought this home, and he kind of like said, this is really cool. Like, I read these. I believe this person had a contact with an extraterrestrial, and it happened like this extraterrestrial is Yahweh. It's from the Bible, and they created life. And he kind of tells me like a summary of the story. It's like, wow, that's really interesting. Because that's an explanation, right? Like, as you look at old scripture, the Torah, Bible, I mean, they are.
I like how you said that's an explanation, meaning one explanation, not the explanation.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, because I mean, if you have the learning of a scientist, or the process, then having one proof or one explanation doesn't mean that's it, right? You have to explore and investigate to see, well, are there other explanations? And so anyway, so I was curious. So I read those books, and I thought, well, that kind of puts all the puzzles pieces kind of all together. But it's just somebody writing a book, right? It's not it's not like I have tangible evidence or anything. Especially in this case, this person didn't take any evidence, just wrote basically the books. So it just made sense to me, but it's not a proof of anything. But that book, because there was ETs in it, right? And kind of a origin story for humanity and life and all that stuff. Most of it was in tune with my true self, what I described earlier, which is, well, what about humanity? Where are we going, right? And the book describes like a way of living, like meditation, well-being, and how we should think, how we should treat each other, love each other. Like a lot of the same things we've learned from religion or grandma, like really positive things. So it kind of appealed to me as a whole, and I started hanging out with my father and some of the other people that were kind of circling in that philosophy, which is called the Raelian philosophy or Raelian movement, and otherwise. So that path got me into a lot more into the ET thinking space. These people in those books, and then I started reading more and more about that. I got involved because it's more of an activist group in a way that has a kind of a mission to bring humanity into a new era, which is what I was really aligned with, like as a person. And one of the projects inside that philosophy, one of the main instructions that, well, you will build an embassy for ETs, which is a pretty cool concept. But at the time, it was just like kind of like an interesting concept. Had no basis into like scientific or an interest in reality at the time. But over the years, like, I kept being involved, and I did my own research, and I kept being a scientist and being an educator and all that stuff. And especially like the last few years, I kind of noticed, like, wait a minute, building the ET embassy has always been something I've been working on a little bit, but off to the side, not my focus, right? It says, well, we're at the time, it seems, where this is probably close to happening. Like there's something going on. There seems to be a lot more apparitions, more like reports, and I kept meeting other people that where there was some kind of a synergy in the discussion. And so I talked with the person that leads the actual project within the Raelian movement, the ET Embassy project. Like we raised like $50 million US of funds and over donations over many years, and they were kind of leading. I said, look, I think we should do something more. We should do something for everybody, right? Like set up another organization that's outside, and just like bring a bunch of people in, right? And kind of work towards that. And I talked about this a little bit. That's what the big thing here, like in humanity, is the mindset is still pretty primitive in my view. Right? It kind of evolve as a civilization, and so most of the effort is, of course, there's mechanical efforts to actually build a tangible building with the funds that we raise and all that stuff, but also it's transformative change for humanity, which is interesting. So that's where I am now.
Okay, so we're going to get into that to be a lot more specific details, because I know what you're talking about, but these people do not. So I'm assuming what we're talking about is the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact, AEDC. So tell me a bit about the work you're doing with them, and what is the AEDC mission?
Right. So so this started, I believe, January 2021. So just over a year ago. It's not long. That's when I had the discussion with Daniel. Say, hey, like, let's do this. And simultaneously, he had the same thought. Well, that makes sense. We have to, as humanity, we have to kind of organize this globally for everybody without any kind of attachments and whatnot with any organization outside. Just make it universal, agnostic. Let's just build the friggin' thing, right? And get, as a civilization, get to officially build a structure that all the nations would be in agreement with, would acknowledge under the Vienna Convention to as an actual embassy, like a practical embassy that does diplomatic missions according to the Vienna Convention, right? So let's build that. That's the website that you're seeing there for the conference in October. But definitely, we'll talk more about the conference itself, I think, a little bit later. But yeah, that's one of our main activities this year. But yes, that is the embassy, the original plans for the embassy. Thank you, Ryan, for showing the pics. And it has a certain design, and it's a bit like futuristic, which I like, and all these elements for living quarters, and also, of course, different atmospheres and whatnot. We are building. We are almost ready to release new blueprints, by the way. For this, like updated with the team of architects. But in essence, like I got with him. It's like, okay, let's do this. This must be a project for the whole humanity, not just one group, right? So that was the kernel of that. So I elaborated a strategy. I said, okay, well, let's make it a network of organizations, because the Raelian movement is one organization that's already been championing this since 1974. That's great. But then there's other organizations out there that must also be thinking the same way. That would think it would be cool and it would be maybe smart at this time. And now that a majority of people do realize, we probably aliens, or let's say call it extraterrestrials, do exist. Intelligent life is out there, and it's there, and a decent portion of the population believe that we may be visited by these. This is a shift. Only just a few years ago, it was very different statistically, right? So that's where the timing is correct. It's like, okay, well, let's see which organizations are out there. And we started contacting and we're doing the research with a few volunteers at first. And after like less than 6 months, we had like I think 12 organizations that part of the network that are supporting the initiative. It was like nearly 500,000 supporters already. within those networks that were like keen on seeing the project succeed and willing, and we had other volunteers from different groups joining to do different things. So now the alliance is still a collection of volunteers, but from all sorts of paths of life and groups, all from all over the world. We all want to have the same thing. We want to see this project succeed. We want an embassy to be built correctly according to UN protocols and accepted by most nations of the world, and so as the de facto first official ET embassy on Earth.
So why is it important for you to do this work, and how is that going to help humanity?
Well, you got it right. Like, my focus is about humanity and bring it to a golden age, right? The arrival of an ET civilization is not in itself the solution to our problems. That's something I know, and I think it's just logic from a perspective, the perspective of the extraterrestrials. Like, I'm a big Roddenberry fan. I'm assuming many here that are listening probably are, or at least science fiction fans. If you are, then you know from the Next Generation, Star Trek, Next Generation, there is such a thing as the Prime Directive, right? And in the Prime Directive, it means like if you meet other civilizations, you can't interfere with their advancements in culture, right? Until they are ready, as a society, to accept like another civilization to arrive from the sky, and meet without causing hubbub and destruction and fanatism and all that stuff. Well, in this case, we are the primitives. And sometimes in some years, we call ourselves primitives because we think we're a bunch of idiots sometimes, right? Because we do things as societies that are not very wise at times. So
I'll stay tight-lipped on that one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know I'm trying to be positive. Okay.
No, and I like it and I love it. That's exactly this is what we need. Like I feel, especially with everything that's been happening and things we talked about in the past about challenges, because we need to to bring this together. I feel like this is opportunity to, if extraterrestrial exists, this is positive energy to invest into showing them that if there's ever a time that we could be ready, or any people that a group of people that are ready to receive, then this is where and this is who, because so it's not ruined for the rest of us, because there's bad apples out there, but perhaps contact could be made to some of us. And I kind of feel like this direction will allow the opportunity, if they exist, to meet.
Well, yeah. And, for me, the embassy itself, and just logistically, building a building with funds, that's easy. And anybody can do it. And in fact, there's plenty of places in the world where they have landing pads and they have like so-called embassies that are like, people acquire land, build a building, and say, well, this is it. I mean, it's not recognized by anybody. It's not extraterritorial like a real embassy or anything like that, but that's easy, right? The challenge for our project is that it needs to be a recognized embassy by nations and nation states and the UN ideally. And that's a big challenge, because you got to get them involved in the conversation and accepting that this is a possibility. For politicians, that's kind of sticking your neck out even now today, right? But in the journey, for my personal purpose, in the journey towards making that more difficult path happen, means that we have the conversation among us about unification, about how are we displaying ourselves to others that may be watching, and so on. How do we get wiser and more loving and compassionate with each other, like going beyond the infantile conflicts that we keep seeing cropping up here and there. And that's the really interesting part of this entire project, because just like the Prime Directive, if we have some that are watching, and I do believe they are, they don't need to be in orbit to watch us either. Like if if you have, like, I don't know if you can do comparison with how exponential science works. Any civilization that's 100 years or more advanced than we are, which is a tiny amount of time, they can probably watch us from their solar system wherever they are. Like, we're able to detect the type of atmospheres on exoplanets thousands of light years away now.
Right.
Right. In 100 years, what are we going to be able to do? You see what I mean? So we are the primitives. So the challenge is like wisening up humanity while building a project. You have an objective, building the embassy under those specs that gives you kind of a goal, right? And we're all unified. We work with the alliance. We gather support. Yeah, that's the village and the embassy in the middle. It's hard to say because it's fairly big. And we're gathering steam. We're communicating. We're kind of advocating for unification, and everybody from every nation is kind of working together for the same goal of meeting an ET civilization. And in that process, hopefully, is that we will be wiser through the process. And then in 2000, when the embassy will be built, which should be around 2030-ish, there's a few steps that need to happen before that. It's not just the construction. And steps with the UN take time. I don't know if you noticed, they don't move very fast.
Anything political does.
Maybe we'll develop that enough wisdom to have a chance of having somebody come in, and there would be a symbol, the embassy itself, which could also be practical for them to come and officially meet people under our rules and our understanding, which are still kind of primitive. So because our leaders will want a place, ETs don't need a place.
No,
but we'll need one.
But we will need one, so it makes sense for us, because that's what we need to understand and comprehend at this primitive, as you say, level. And what I find fascinating about this, and again, I'll go back to recent drama, that's been happening, while all this negative is happening, meanwhile you're focusing on something so beautiful and so positive, and yet you want the same interaction in which a lot of people are using negative enforcement to try to enforce contact, or at least confirmation of such. So when you talk about the extraterrestrials' perspective, taking in consideration that they have feelings and choices and all this other stuff too, possibly why not? Where would they rather? What type of people would they rather come to? Yeah. So you're creating a home or a safe place within the home to allow that to happen if it's possible. So and being a man of science as you are, we have to use ifs. So if they exist, chances are, on a balance of probability, it's more likely that they could go to something like that, the positive side, than towards those who are actively putting a thing in it. So as far as energy goes, I would much rather put my energy towards supporting something like this than the way that I've spent my energy in the past. So if you could choose, what would be the best way to communicate with an extraterrestrial, and why? So this is all set up. We're there. We need to get them there. How would you do that?
For me, it's like I'm kinesthetic, so I want to touch. Right. So like a ET phone home, great. I'll take anything, but preferred, I would love to have a face-to-face encounter and have a chat, because then you get to feel just like a human being, right? You get to feel the other person. You get a good sense of them, because this is about as alien as we've ever gotten, right? Like notwithstanding on people that may come and visit Canada from Guatemala. I mean, that's alien to me. I mean, it's a different culture and all that stuff. But this is civilization that comes from an entirely separate part of the universe or the galaxy. So I definitely want to face-to-face meet, have a meal, whatever.
In this third dimension, what about what about in the fourth or fifth, like in her mind, psychogenically?
Well, like I said, I'll take anything they'll hand to me, but no, I do want. I would prefer the third dimension, physical, biological, like what I consider real to me.
That's what everybody wants, but
Yeah,
unfortunately, sometimes that's not what we're getting. And
yeah,
the majority of the contact that through our investigations, from what I'm learning, is psychogenic in the mind.
yeah.
As someone who's in biology, is it bio what
Biochemistry.
biochemistry? Is there a way to explain how human beings might be able to communicate telepathically with extraterrestrials?
Well, yeah. I mean, there is such a thing as telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, scientists don't like to use that word.
So you're
But it's
saying
also
there is, as if there's fact to that.
yeah, but it's a question of with scientists, it's always a question of definitions,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's where like they don't like the word telepathy because it implies something mystical,
Mm-hmm.
right? In some way, like ESP, things like that. But we are, for example, building brain-computer interfaces using EEG, electroencephalograms, right? That's brain waves that are being detected and translated using software.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that telepathy? Right, it's a way for the brain to, and then you communicating. We can communicate with
Mm-hmm.
other people. We can make sentences and images, and
I would say
So
so by definition, right? So telepathy is the paranormal or psychological word.
yeah,
But if you remove that and look at the science behind it, then yeah, that's the same
we're
thing.
able to do some crazy stuff. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was reading a research recently, and we keep getting better at interfacing with the brain, with the human brain, and its way of thinking. We're able to interpret using EEG, and that's been. I mean, there are game controllers that are using that now. I mean, it's not complicated. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like when I was teaching at a university. That was probably 10 years ago. My fourth year students were using EEG as a game controller in games as a fun experiment.
Wow.
It's not. This is simple now, and I use it. I can control using my mind, right?
But then there has to be another device connected to another human in order for the connection to work, right?
Well, you're talking about both ways, right? Like, so if it's a software in a game that's interpreting, the other piece is that, well, can we insert information on the, because that's the other way around,
Mm-hmm.
right? And over the past few years, and one specific experiment just a few months ago from, again, we're talking, when I talk about research, it's real science, not just somebody talking about something or claiming they're a scientist. So just bear with me with that.
This is why we get along. We think the same. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so they experimented with memory because they were curious to see if they were able, because for many years we were able to kind of trigger the motor neurons using wavelengths, like a reverse EEG, if you would, and see if it worked. And we were able to have some success with that. So they were curious to see if they could imprint memories. This is the more recent research into subjects. It's non-invasive. It's like a wavelength, and then it's with an impression that is supposed to represent that in neuron form, if you would. Again, it's kind of reverse engineering the perception, but shooting it back in essence, right? Without an implant, by the way, because we can do a lot of really cool things with implants and paraplegics and things like that. And the fun thing is, I think it's brilliant because I'm a scientist and I don't think about bad things people can do with things sometimes. But the people that had an inclusion of memory and didn't know whether or not that memory was theirs already or was implanted, they couldn't tell the difference.
Okay.
And that's kind of normal. That's not a surprising result, that last bit, but
No,
we're
no.
able to implant. So that means we're able, at some point, we'll be able to efficiently do bilateral communication with an intermediary of amplifiers. But that indicates that since we can do it with amplifiers, and the brain is very flexible for interpretation, it's entirely possible that some people are able to send and receive and perceive. And if an ET civilization is trying to contact with us, they may be amplifying signals and sending stuff directly into our brain. We know that's possible, and through technology, through our own technology. So why not using ETs? So telepathy with ETs technically is a thing that is entirely possible.
So you could scan telepathy in the brain with wavelengths.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
We can detect what people are thinking or doing to a certain degree with training.
So
and we can implant memories and things like that too.
The risk analysis hat kind of came on a little bit there, because I'm thinking, all right, the science exists, and you're testing on subjects and to prove that it's possible. Are your subjects aware that you're doing this?
I don't remember the details of that experiment, but I'm sure they either signed disclosures or they were informed.
Well, that's good. So it's good in this experiment that they are aware that this is the procedure that's going to happen. Now, put on the conspiratorial hat. I mean, the science exists. Is it not possible for that science to be used even today without the intention or without the knowledge of the host? Like, how far does this go? Do they have to be in the same room? Can they go across the other side of the world, like remote viewing?
No.
How far?
You have to have a cap on or something, direct contact with the head, so you would notice. At least you would be asked to wear something.
Is it possible without the equipment, though? Can we not communicate with each other without?
With increased sensitivity. And this is not tomorrow, but in a bit, right? And I can't predict, because everything's accelerated with tech, right? And how advanced. Potentially, you could have an emitter or transmitter in the room, and everybody in the room could be targeted for sending and receive. Which, on a positive side, it means you could have access to the internet directly through your mind without a handheld device on your pocket at all. On the negative use side of it, like mass delusions, control, confusion about like what do you remember, what's real, what's not. I mean, just like any other technology, the use of it can be absolutely beneficial and exciting, and the misuse of it can be mind-bogglingly terrible.
A lot of people speculate and conspiracize that was the purpose of these 5G towers. There's your transmitter. So it's just interesting, because like the science, like also is good for the advancement of human civilization and technology, but yet it's also that fear comes into where these possibilities come in. Like the great power comes great responsibility. And those things are real. So if human beings are able to make contact through these devices and stuff, if experiencers, I know you're not an experiencer yourself, but I've spoken to many people who generally do have experiences telepathically, or at least in their mind. Do you think it's possible that maybe this technology is being used by humans instead of extraterrestrials, and there might be some confusion there? Or is it a bit of both? Or because some people are checking in to some signal that it's out there. We're looking for explanations as to how or whom. But what you've just basically explained, that it's possible. So now we need to know, okay, it's possible, but now who? Right? Because
we're not that different, Ryan, because one thing that I don't mention a whole lot, because my pedigree is too long, like my experience, I was in security for 3 years at a pretty high level in Canada, at the Supreme Court of Canada. In fact, I was second in command of the civilian division.
They just keep coming. Are you MIB? I'm going to ask you live right now. You Men in Black? Tell me right now.
I don't wear a black suit. I don't have one. I
need to know this right now. Clear the air.
No.
All right.
No, just general location security. Nothing fancy.
No, I got you.
But I understand. I do think that way too, basically, because you do think about what's the downside. How could it be misused?
You think about the people too, right? Like it's protecting the people, the humanity. Same idea.
Well, exactly. We want to reach that golden age, to me, and it falls right back into the same point where we're talking about contact, right? Like we're at a juncture technologically, and how we understand how we can manipulate ourselves. You can talk about genetics too, because that's my specialty, is really genetics. And I could freak you guys out just with that, and it's not really, forget GMOs. I mean, that's nothing. Okay, like there's stuff we could do now that is not discussed because it would freak people out. The mRNA tech is really exciting, and that's kind of like an indicator of where we're going with the vaccine. But the applications are very, very varied, and they can be just like everything else can heal a lot of people, but
in the wrong hands. Yeah,
in the wrong hands, you can do like some amazingly terrible things. But it all goes back to, we have this capability, with the mind thing, the BCI, with the genetics and all that stuff, to transform our civilization in good or bad ways, right? And it's, as we go forward, if we think about it in a negative tone, it's becoming more and more dangerous as we understand, as we develop capabilities in the wrong hands and so on and so forth. Simultaneously, we can build, basically, like, that's why I wrote my book in 2018. I published. It's like I could see the positive side of things even before it started happening. Certain things started happening. We can create basically a world where no one needs to work at all and have abundantly anything they need without concerns with the environment. It would take a lot of work and a lot of changes. Okay, it's not an immediate like flip a switch, but we have everything we need to, like, you could have a home. This is a kind of the futurist part of me. You could have a home right now that produces all its clean water from the air directly, and it would be powered by the sun. Okay, all you need is a box and a specific material called metallo-organic framework. Okay, well, and there's different classifications of that. You can generate your own power at your home. You can potentially recycle a lot of stuff, and using 3D printing and more advanced version of 3D printing, you can molecularly, recycle your waste back into useful things. We're not there yet, but that'll come. You can essentially decentralize a lot of things that are currently centralized and very wasteful. But the key point is that with all this power that we have, because of understanding and technology, we're still dumb, right? We're not wise, is what I mean. And to survive this, we need to develop that wisdom,
right?
Because we can't decide. We will just take the good advancement of the control of infinity, and for sure we'll never touch the bad things. No. When we discovered nuclear energy, like, I know that's an overused example, but
that's good. But it could
we
also be
understood
bad.
more about atom. That was great.
It's good when it's good. It's bad when it's bad. Yeah.
Right. It's all that story. And as we move forward, we can do a lot more. Like, I can.
We need more good people doing good things. That's
in a culture. And what I write a lot about is like, I boiled it down to one simple thing that we have to do for humanity to avoid most of these terrible outcomes, right? Is that we need to remove what is strictly called chronic stress from our society. So the difference between normal stress and chronic stress is persistent and constant, right? For example, somebody that is always looking for the next meal constantly, his body is his whole system, his neural system is activated, creating cortisol, adrenaline in the system, all these drugs that are meant for survivalism. Those drugs make a person antisocial. It's in survival mode, wants to eat. Chronic stress causes that. If you're not in chronic stress, it's the parasympathetic neural system that kicks in, which is dopamine, oxytocin, really nice, fun drugs, right? Right. It makes you calm and loving and friendly and social. And you know what? Naturally, biologically, and there's like an excellent research from Harvard, which I forget the names now, but that research, like, if a person is not under chronic stress, their biggest pleasure they can have in a society is to give to others. Right. So having a society that doesn't have any chronic stress, naturally, without any laws, would naturally try to derive pleasure by giving each other whatever they need.
Mm-hmm.
Just pleasure driven. That's it.
I think that's interesting. That could be that's why we're connecting in the terms of missions, because I know you kept telling me that you really like the vibe, but I didn't really understand why, and now I'm starting to hear it, and I've got goosebumps because I'm feeling it now. I know, now I get it. So we're gonna have to take a commercial break real quick soon, but before we do that, Dave Percella, he had asked a good question there. He's asking your thoughts on gene that allows for pregnancy in humans. He says, I've heard it's not natural to the human genome, but was rather spliced in some time in the distant past. So you have any thoughts or comments on that?
Dave, I have no evidence for that. It's the first time I hear that comment. The way we reproduce genetically, like if you look at the genome itself, it's extremely complex. It's not a single gene that drives it. There's a lot of moving parts. It's interconnected, which brings me to an important point that I think it kind of aligns with where you're going with this, but I'm not sure. I'm just going to say it. I would encourage people to read Michael Behe's book on genetics. I forget the name of the book though, but Michael Behe, if you read like Dr. Michael Behe, and he came to looking at the complexity of life and exactly how complex it is. He kind of came to the conclusion at the end that there must have been a designer involved, which is a very interesting conclusion for a scientist to make. And there is of course, a series of arguments and studies and observations and so on that are on the molecular and genetic level. It just tells you that there is definitely a lot of complexity, which may indicate because you can't straight out say, well, it's aliens or something like that, because there's no evidence of that either, right? He just says, well, it's probably not random, basically, is his conclusion, right? There must have been, if it's not random, then it must be not random.
Right.
Which means there must be a hand in there somewhere. And of course, the Christians and the religious people really loved the comment because it validated the presence, well, there's a God or things like that. But I feel there's probably a more simple explanation than some immaterial creature that is omniscient and somehow weird things happen. Anyway, given the decent evidence of presence of extraterrestrials on Earth, or at least an advanced civilization in the past, at the very least, there's reasonable evidence of that. And if you see the visitations, if they are extraterrestrials, they're obviously more advanced than us, and therefore they may have visited in the past, and so on and so on. Perhaps ETs could be those designers, or at least had a hand in it. Whether or not we were not able to have children and then they were spliced later, that's way too specific for us to have any kind of evidence on it.
Okay.
I hope that at least gives you clues to do a further.
No, it's a good question. Like I know Dave is another member of the Experiencer Support Association. He's he's an astrologist for us as well. He's also, I believe, he does have a background in biology too. So I feel like that was a mono question there. So that was kind of good. I like that. So we're going to pause right here, but we'll be back after we'll continue after a message from our sponsors. If you're listening to the audio only version, head over to youtube.com/the Experiencer Support Association so you can see the video that goes with this audio. You are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association, and we will be right back.
It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis!
The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful.
Get away from me!
I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time.
It's been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
Welcome to the Observation Deck, a state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind virtual platform that takes video conferencing to the next level by using avatars to navigate a campus, just like you would in real life. First, you install the application and design your very own unique avatar. Then you're free to explore the various areas of the campus at any time from anywhere. There's so many areas and activities to choose from on the platform. There's a 1,000-seat auditorium, a large expo hall, a movie theater, a nightclub, an art gallery, and even a beach. Come attend a conference or take a class or hear a lecture. Meet new friends and interact directly with presenters. It's all right here on the incredible Observation Deck campus. Where in the world will you go?
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today by going to tesacan.org/EA. That's TESACAN.org/EA. Welcome back. You are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Did you know that we have a private community chat for YouTube members? It's on our YouTube channel, obviously. If you become a member, you will get bonus content like exclusive videos, including bloopers. Sometimes you get them live here, behind the scenes, and members-only Q&A. Also, if you've ever experienced an unexplained event involving the paranormal, UFOs, extraterrestrials, dogman, or any other paracryptid, head over to tesacan.org/reporting system. Let the others who have already reported be that example that proves that we are making a difference. And if it wasn't for these reports, we would not be able to do what we do. And for that, thank you. So I am still here with Sylvain. You can say your last name. And how did I do? I saw your head go back and you were laughing. Like, did I botch that?
No, I think you're fine. Sylvain Rochon is very French. It's French Canadian.
That's exactly how I said it. It sounds like perfect.
Yeah, you did great. I'm imitating you.
Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you so much. So for those of you who might have, I'm just going to play this again, but I snuck in another little video here, and then I'm going to ask Sylvain what this is all about when we come back. So I'm going to play it one more time for those who might have missed it. I just snuck this in. Watch. So this is a conference. Tell us about this, and what is the plan?
Well, yeah, it's the first conference specifically for that's organized by the Alliance, right? And the purpose of it is to gain more visibility to the diplomatic community. So for ambassadors, diplomats, and world leaders, because we are in contact with many, right? Because one of the criteria is that we have to have extraterritoriality, and the land must be, for that, the land by law, by rule from the UN, the Vienna Convention of 1961, I believe I have the year right, is that a country has to give the land and make it extraterritorial, which means this land belongs to another nation, and it's kind of declared, right? So we need to talk with nations, and we have been sending a specific brochure, and I know Ryan, I sent it to you. You can show the cover of it. It's a brochure we sent to all nations of the world in 2019, right? And it's basically a business plan, because governments think of things as in regarding economy and tourism and things like that. So it's written as hey, give us the extraterritoriality of the first ET embassy on Earth, and that's going to draw a lot of tourism, a lot of business, and so on and so on. Because it is, for them, it's a risk for a lot of countries, because they don't really think the way I do, and some of us that want to to have this work and to be welcoming. So we sent that over, and we have been in discussion with several leaders of different nations that have some interest. Now, they are not revealing themselves to the general public, so we can't talk about them. Okay, so don't ask. I can just tell you there are more than one. Okay, and they're not in Canada. For those of you who know us who are in Canada, Canada's not one of them. This I know. So we did that. So the conference itself is kind of like a first showcase, like a serious discussion in an attempt to popularize the idea of the ET embassy itself. And the secondary aspect of it is to gather together all sorts of organizations. And Tessa's definitely going to be invited and be there and participate.
We were saving that for the end, but all right, get in.
No, we're going to talk about other things in the end.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know.
Surprise.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of other organizations definitely will be there. So it's an occasion for the organizations also to meet. We're going to be using a virtual platform, because you never know with COVID and things like that. So don't want to miss with that. And it's our first conference, so we'll do that like virtually for the first one. And we'll have like an international law expert talk about it. We're going to have a big reveal of the actual plans, like the new ones, because they're being revamped and modernized, ready for blueprinting. Actually, the blueprints are being made now, because we have a team of architects working on that. And we're gonna have like a musical presentation, and like some networking, and we have like a panel discussion that'll talk about the future of humanity and the mind change we were talking about earlier. And finally, Danielle, who's the lead of the project and also the president of the Alliance, will talk to the crowd. He's not a big talker. He is more of a doer. that I got him to agree to do a presentation, and he's really good at presentation, just doesn't talk a whole lot. So he's going to talk a bit. And the architectural team will also be there, do a big reveal at the conference, revealing the blueprints, perhaps like a 3D walkthrough of inside, things like that.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's the conference. So there's 1,000 tickets available, and I don't see anywhere to write here, but I'm offering anyone here that's listening a 35% off promo code.
We can type it in the chat here. I'll type it for you.
Yeah, ETDC 2022. So ET Diplomatic Contact. So ETDC 2022.
Right,
exactly.
Right there, it's in there.
So if you get your ticket right now, there's early bird tickets are available. It's in October, right? So we're way ahead of time, but that's okay. You put that in, you lock in your ticket, use that code, you got a third off, and then you get to meet with all these people there. So that's the conference, and hopefully we'll be doing that every year, kind of grow the reputation, grow the brand, because that's unfortunately kind of the talk we have to talk to get the attention of politicians. They only understand numbers and votes, right? So the more numerous we are, the bigger names we have in our events, the more interested they are in kind of listening to what we have to say in our proposals. So that's our team in Geneva can do their work.
So what's interesting what you just said there too, and this is kind of, I'm going to be very careful with how I'm saying this, because this is a conversation that we've been having internally with Tessa as well. But there may be an opportunity where this message could be included in an already planned package that is already in the works to be sent to the politicians. So I'm just going to leave it like that, and then we'll have a conversation about that offline. But sure. We're in the middle of prepping something to make our name known as well in that respect. But to compound this together to be might be something that would be more impactful. So there's another spoiler, kind of in a sense, teaser stuff here. So that's great. There was a couple of things too. I noticed that Dave Petrella had said something about Libra. Where was that? It was. Let me go back.
Just a bit higher than I see the highlight now. Yeah.
Yeah. I said October 6th, directly in the middle of Libra, which is the sign of peace. Good time. So he's also, an astrologer, so he understands that.
Well, Dave, that was totally unintentional. I did not know that, but it happens to be in the middle of the United Nations Space Week.
Okay.
That's why the date is inside that week. So it's a happy coincidence that it goes into Libra and the sign of peace, which I didn't know about.
He's also asking, what is the proposed location of the embassy?
The embassy could technically be built by any nation in the world, as long as it's not too cold, which is why Canada is out the question.
What about southern Canada? Like like this, the
where you are?
Well, I'm in the middle, but I mean, it'd be BC, I guess. Like,
yeah, it could be, but also, honestly,
So why does it have to be warm? What's the reasons for that?
No, it would have to not be too far north or south. We want the embassy to be in a cold, in a comfortable location.
Okay.
Weather-wise.
Okay.
So, and here it's really cold, year round. So, and biologically, it just kind of makes sense. Of course, there's possible alien species to be more accustomed to colder weather, things like that. But if we look at just any kind of carbon-based life form, theoretically, it should always be more comfortable to be comfortably above 0 degrees Celsius, the freezing of water.
Okay.
But anyway, so from all sorts of reasons,
just say it's science, man. It's just scientific.
But the other side of it is that it's way. Again, I don't have conversations with other nations, so I'm not leading you at all. I don't even know which nations have been in contact with. That's Dave, that's Danielle, and another person. That's it. We keep it really close to the chest, so I don't know exactly. But more advanced nations like ours tend to not be so interested in such initiatives because they have all this other stuff going on, and it's kind of more easy to dismiss. But a country, let's say in Polynesia or Latin America or Caribbean, who want more tourism and development, it's way more an appealing thing. Like I said before, it's a business plan, because to them, it's like, it's not really, they can't claim to their population, we'll greet ETs. I mean, most politicians would be ridiculed. But if they pitch it, well, it's going to be a great economic impact area. Oh, but in Canada, it's like, we have a bunch of tourism. It's like a project among many. But in St. Kitts, Caribbean, as an example, it's like, holy shit, yeah, let's bring it here, man. It's going to bring a lot of tourists, and like,
because we're also thinking about the best place for the entire world. So we're not thinking. So here we are, two Canadians thinking, let's have it here in Canada, because that's us only thinking about ourselves, right? But yes, if you're thinking about the entire world and everyone else, and then that's awesome.
Yep. Okay.
So I have a couple other questions. I'm just looking at the time because I know you got to leave. So I am going to throw in our last little segment, but I'm going to make it quick, and then we're going to talk about our plans in the future. Okay. So this is a segment called "Sorry, Not Sorry," and I think you'd appreciate that, being Canadian. Okay, so there's a long version to this. I'm just going to do the short version of this. This is a social experiment, but you're a man of science and touched on it, so I could not do this segment. So I'm going to ask you one question, and I'm going to tell you how long it takes to answer it. Okay.
Okay.
That's it. It's just a social experiment.
That's it.
Don't worry about it. Don't judge me. You accept the challenge.
Okay, I do.
Okay. So, with all the knowledge and experience that you have, your pedigree there, what shape is the Earth?
Is obloid.
Ooh, right in the middle. 3 seconds, not bad, but the obloid. So I've been keeping track of of the pause in between the asking that question and the answers that they've been getting, because whether or not you trust the science, and you're a man of science who understands science, but you did not pick the typical round globe. So why in the middle?
Because obloid is the accurate term because the Earth is not spherical.
Okay.
It's obloid. It is actually a little bit flattened at the poles because of its orbit, and that shape is obloid.
Okay. So all right. I love that. So it is, and there you go. So the whole point of this is because there are different sides and different opinions, and what I've always tried to do. So we already talked about religion and stuff, but the Bible sometimes is used as an explanation for why we're having extraterrestrials, things like that too. But they also use the Bible as an explanation to describe the shape of the Earth, and many believe it to be a flat Earth. And then there's a lot of reasons behind that, but where I'm bringing this in is just trying to be aware that even though some of these theories are absurd on one side or the left, depending on what you're doing, it's just a difference of opinion, and yet there's a lot of people fighting with each other. So I'm always trying to emphasize or bring that in to remind people that like they're trying just as hard as everybody else too. But you threw me off guard because I was expecting you to answer like in 1 second and say globe. So
I had to remember the exact word. That's why it took me 3 seconds. Like, wait, put the word.
I was like, awesome to that. So, why are we not seeing that when NASA takes a photo? Follow-up question, because I don't see that at all.
Well, it's you'd have to make the measurement to really notice it. Like with the or even like if you have a big enough picture where you see the whole globe, and you could probably find it online or some kind of resource, and you actually measure the distance between the poles and also on the equator. The equator will be slightly longer the equator measurement, if you look just in two-dimensional, like a flat picture, for example. But the difference is not enough that naked eye can detect like that. It's not like it's flattened like a football. Like some planets in our solar system has a rotation that's fast enough where you can see it's not exactly spherical.
Okay.
But it's more obloid than the Earth. Okay. The Earth is not spinning that fast, so it's not as obvious. Okay. But it's definitely not a non-spherical like shape.
No, but it's also, not exactly as advertised. So that's kind of where we're looking for. Like, just,
And part of the confusion, I think, is for some people that kind of like look at other theories, is that when we look at any kind of map, it's a rectangular paper, and everything is kind of flattened. And there's a specific term for that flattening, and it doesn't give the proper dimensions. Like Greenland looks huge, but it's not that big, for example.
Yeah, so the polar projection is kind of like extrapolated and expanded. So I always thought with the with the Gleason's map is a polar projection. So I always try to explain that like that is just a view from the top.
Yeah,
it's a perspective. And then if you take that and then you were to put it around a globe, then that's why we have the globe Earth. It's the same thing. It's just a perspective. But then a lot of scientists do get mad at people who just say, the Earth is flat. And then there's a lot of things that go around the reason for that. And there's explanations as to why. But when it all comes down to it and that's why I kind of brought the NASA thing in there too, is it's just about trying to determine if the science that people are doing here on Earth are the same as the science as we're being told on the television. So so that was kind of interesting. I really liked that. So let's get back into this reality here. So Tessa, you mentioned that we are going to assist with this expo or this conference, but what else is in store for the Experiencers Support Association that you want to share at this time in the future?
Yeah, so some of this stuff that we'll talk about is yet to be defined in detail, guys, or people that are listening to this. But definitely, like at the conference, I explicitly said it for the conference because we're inviting many organizations to have a virtual table to be present, to mingle and interact. And the purpose is to get more visibility, to meet more people to connect. So we are inviting leaders of organizations to have those spots basically for free. Like we're not for profit. The intention is to sell tickets to pay for the costs of the conference, which they are. But we want the content, and part of the content is to have leaders in the space that support what we're trying to achieve to be there, so people can meet with them directly and go flit from table to table and have a chat and kind of interact with them, with each other. So that's kind of a natural, like let's have Tessa here, like no problem. But what I'm more excited about is something that we haven't talked about yet today, at least, because we talked about it yesterday, me and Ryan. So not today. Was the Alliance will organize a show on Tessa in the media, right? Like probably an episode twice a month where we will feature guests. Again, this is still kind of in the works, but I'd like to do something in the format similar to Joe Rogan. If people know the style, it's interviewing interesting people, just like what we're talking about, the flattened Earth and things like that. It's like asking questions and seeing and letting people talk about it and kind of exposing different ideas and elevating what we know and what we don't know. It's a big thing with me, especially I consider myself a true scientist, not because of the titles or degrees, because somebody can be a scientist without having degrees. It's a way of thinking. Okay. So a true scientist is someone that acquiesces what they know and what they don't know, using and identifying fact versus fiction, right? And using the right words. So if I tend to choose my words carefully. Like if I think something, I will say I think something. That means it's an opinion, right? If I know something, it's usually based on foundational research that's been corroborated by valued scientists and many times. Even though I may have done the experiment myself, right? So under those definitions, what I don't know far surpasses what I do know, right? Because there's way too many mysteries out there. We can't really validate, but we can just speculate and assume, right? So
I've always said I know enough about the subject to know that I'm right, but not enough to know that I'm wrong. so like, I mean, I'm on you with that. And I mean, for me, facts versus fiction, for me, is it possible versus likely?
Yeah.
Right? It's possible that the earth is flat. Is it likely? So that's what we're trying to figure out in terms of the conversation, right? And to be honest, in terms of experiment, which is why I also said at the beginning with the icebreaker, I want to go to space to turn around and look and know, because I'm not an astronaut, right? And then like many other people, but I do also subscribe to all of those camps that show evidence that suggests that the moon landing was a hoax, and you know, and there's a lot of things that do not add up. But then there's a why. You know, why would they do that? And it looks like it, you know, and then of course we don't have the source to explain the answer, so that's where speculation and everything else comes in. So I'm happy to know that we're going to have that scientific mind as well within the community too. Because and as we talked about as well with my research and the data, it's good to regulate and have it contained, but it needs to go to the next level. And through this is opportunity for this work to be criticized, cleaned up, fixed, prepared, you know, better example to be lifted to the next level. So we're able to do the same thing, but one before the other, but in unison, in a way that it matters, with experiencers involved, experiencers' feelings and perspectives ahead of anything else, in line with the possibility of wanting to make contact or have the opportunity to have a positive visitation to confirm. And all of that approach doesn't have debunking. It doesn't have anarchy. It doesn't have protesting. It doesn't have any of these negative ways of approaching the answer. Now, that negative side, it's a method, but that also breeds and creates that negative energy, which then feeds in investors and all that other stuff. But now we have this positive energy that could very well balance the negative to create perhaps a neutral ground where everyone could meet at the embassy. So I'm in. I was going to say all in, but let me speak to the board first. But I'm pretty well in with everything else here. But you know, I'm totally committed as an investigator, because this is good. This is great.
Absolutely, we need more critical thinking. I think in general, we can't just listen to somebody and say, I believe this, and just take it for granted. There's so much information that floats around on the internet. Even more so than ever, we have to be discriminate in what we see and do our own investigations, and not being afraid to say, like, I don't know, or I'm not sure. That's fine. Like, it won't affect your daily life if you don't know stuff. I mean, I'm very well educated. I have a lot of experience, and I most of the things that people ask me, I don't know. There's still a bunch of stuff that I do, because I'm that kind of person that reads a lot, keeps educating. But yeah, so keep the open mind and keep the critical thinking. If you're not convinced about the Earth being an oblong shape or spherical shape, well, investigate it.
But at least we're questioning it too. So I mean, CC has a scientific background as well. Dave Petrella has a scientific background as well. And what I'm excited about is, as the investigator at this level, I am very good at figuring out the who, the what, the where, the when. And what I need is a team, especially with you three that I'm talking about in this moment, to help me figure out the how. And hopefully with the how, we will be able to determine the why. because those are the two important questions that we need to have answered. But in order for you to determine the how and the why, you need someone like me, as we've discussed many times before, to make sure that the sample is controlled and enough with the who, what, where, and when, so your resources can be spent, efficiently in a direction that will yield a more probable result.
Mm-mm-mm.
So, like, I'm over the moon for that. So, okay, so you got 7 minutes before you got to ditch. So why don't you tell us where you're going after this?
Okay, yeah.
And then tell everybody where they can find you in the meantime, because once the new website is launched, you'll be able to find Sylvain on our website and the YouTube channel here once we figure out the details on the program.
Yep. Okay, so I have another live presentation with CykoMetrix, right? That's where I'm going after this. So I'm already dressed up, ready to go.
So you dressed up for them, though, not for me.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, okay.
It's really for her.
There you go. There you go.
No, so this is how I look good with the bow tie. Otherwise, it's just a mullet.
You're rocking it, man.
Yeah, bringing back the 80s, dude. Like I told you. Duran forever. All right. So yeah, CykoMetrix, basically the same questions, like a lot of questions about the alliance and the conference. But I'm interested in actually sharing something with everybody here that we kind of touched on a little bit.
Okay.
But I think it's like probably the most important thing we can think about. In my goal to get humanity into a golden age, right? And like we talked about, like, we're the primitives and we have to, get wise and all that stuff. So a lot of people, I'm sure, including myself, for many years, wondered, well, like, little old me, what do I do, right? What can I do? And the answer is actually pretty simple, and it's when you realize, and you should get a feel for that everything and everyone is connected, right? Not only here in this room, but or in the country or on the planet, but basically everything in the universe is interconnected, right? There are forces pushing back and forth. Everything is in equilibrium in some way, and then there's these balancing acts that are happening molecularly, energetically, wavelengths, all that stuff, gravitational fields, blah blah, right? Everything is kind of sticking together because of all these balances, and if you change something here, it impacts the whole universe. Just not a whole lot, because the universe is huge, right? But the closer you are, the more impact you have. So if you want to change the universe, or let's scale it down to, let's say, humanity, right? Or even your own family and surroundings, all you got to do is really change yourself. Right? Because not everybody's like me, like that start up businesses and that sets up organizations, and you, Ryan, like that have that. I don't know. We have that thing inside us that we do stuff like that.
Yeah,
we just have that thing inside us that allows us to do that. Everybody can change themselves, right? And if you change yourself and you become a model human this way, and you're doing the right good decisions by yourself and others, and you love yourself, you love others, and you develop that compassion and empathy, right? These very good, mostly feminine attributes, by the way. Like, we have a lot to learn from mom.
I don't want to interrupt this monologue, but you got 1 minute before you're late for them. But I don't care if you're late, but
it's okay.
Before you're late for them.
So the key is, do that every day. Just work on yourself, and you're changing the world for the better. And that's, if all you do is doing that, you have infinite impact. So there you go.
That's perfect. Welcome to the team. You belong here. So that's awesome. So send me an email tomorrow, and then we'll get that all started. Thank you so much. Tell everybody real quick where they can find you until we get this going.
Yes. Well, you can find me through contacting the Alliance. So you can share the URL maybe for the Alliance, Alliance for the number 4et.org. And if you contact that, it goes to my team and to me, basically. So that's a point of contact. You can go look for the Alliance on Facebook. You can look for the Alliance on Instagram if you prefer social media, and you'll find our groups and our pages where you can get all sorts of information and participate with us too.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much. Get out of here, have fun, and CC, I'll bring you in, and then we'll have the after chat, and we'll go from there.
All right.
All right. See you guys. See ya. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye. Yeah, are you ready? Just give me a thumbs up. I want to just bring you in. Okay, perfect. How you doing? How was that? Wow. I did not want it to end. I just wanted to stay on for a little bit, but
Yeah, that was a breath of fresh air for sure, especially with everything that's been going on in the UFO community lately. And his last statement was just bang on how I feel in general. Just, work on yourself, and that has a greater impact than we can all understand as individuals. It was so good.
That turned out better than I had hoped it would. And it also helped knowing that this kind of conversation was going to happen when we were all seeing all this problems and drama and stuff. So knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So now it's great, this is finally where we're being pulled in the direction in which we could excel. And I just hope that those have been, having challenges with understanding and comprehending where it is that we want to go, that they understand and will come with us one day, who knows? But this is huge. So not only are we going to be assisting with this conference, once we figure out the details of ours, they may, we could have 2 that we do annually as well. So I liked how I kept saying interconnected, and I'm not quite sure if he knows that our expo or our retreat is called interconnected. So there's that. And I'm happy to know that we have science. You've talked about it. David talks about it. I have plans for that, but he also, his network, is other scientists. So by him having on our team and then using him as the funnel, if he knows other scientists in other disciplines, then he can pass that information off to them, and then them can get a collaboration from a third-party scientific team. So it helps because it doesn't get stunted where it is. It gets acknowledged, but at the same time, it gets reinforced, and then it can be presented now. Then again, once that's all done and repackaged, then together we can take the political approach, which is something we were trying to do. So it's like the missing link. And then it's we spend all this time trying to find a bunch of people to do all these things for us. But then through natural, selection, I suppose, or gravitation of however we get connected. So with Sylvain, as an example, for those who may not remember, I did a quick 3-minute video for CykoMetrix, which is where he's going on the consortium, to announce the Experiential Support Association from that aspect. Sylvain was present. He saw my little 3-minute presentation, and then he reached out to me, and then from that, here we are. So it's just a simple little, hey, I like what you're doing. And that was a vibe. It was a feeling.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of good out there, which is why we do that. And rocking the mullet. I got the 80s shirt that Priscilla picked out for me today. So I think we're feeling right good. She's in the chat. So, good to see you. So we got a half hour. So do you want to talk to the people? What do you want to do?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say that I'm immensely impressed by the work that Sylvain's team has done so far in such a short amount of time. And it just goes to show what humanity can do if we put our minds to a collective mission. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful they found us or vibed with us too. I don't really see any questions in the chat. So if anybody does have a question, let's talk. open up the floor.
I'll just say hello to everybody while we're waiting here. So Lisa, how you doing? Hi, Lisa. Dave, obviously I know you're here. Been talking about you. Serena, good to see ya. Oh, let me click. Serena, hello. Who else we got? Scroll. Priscilla, hello, honey. Dan Jones. I wanted to say. What is it? What movie is it? Horrible Bosses. With Jamie Foxx. Motherfucker Jones. Dan motherfucker Jones. Hi, buddy. This is good. All that other stuff too. So who else we got here? Just the usual suspects. That's it. All right. Well.
So we had Serena there and Dave Petrello.
No. Oh, Robert. There's Robert. Hey, Robert. How you doing? So if you guys have any questions about anything, throw them in. If not, then why don't we talk about what's happening next? So EA. Let's talk about EA. EA is Saturday.
Yes. So this Saturday, it'll be Experiencers Anonymous will be in the observation deck. So if folks are unaware of what the observation deck is, it's a really fun digital world. Essentially, you download the app, go to the observationdk.com, I believe is the email address. It's in the link that is posted on social media. Yeah, show them what it is. And so it's really great for Experiencers Anonymous because you create an avatar and that is what you use to navigate world. And it could be whatever you want, male or female. It doesn't have to look like you per se, but you just, can type and chat or use your voice and speak and interact as you would. It's very similar to a video game. I enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would. And I have a lot of fun in the observation deck when I go in. So we meet at the Experiencer Hall in the observation deck, and we simply have a discussion. We could talk about, an event that's maybe plaguing your mind, or, and offer some support and resources that Tessa has and is able to provide. Or we can simply just have a discussion about what's going on in the world and share ideas and contemplate theories and that sort of thing. Whatever, we're pretty open to how the discussion might go, but it's simply a way to get together as a community and discuss ideas without stigma, without judgment, in a safe space. And there are no investigators there. There are no recordings of any sort. So you maintain your anonymity and interact and participate how you choose.
I'm going to try and log in and just to show everybody in real time here, but it might boot me out because I'm already in. But so let's see here. We get any questions during that? Anything there?
No.
Just listeners, eh?
Yeah. Oh, so I forgot to mention. So that's this Saturday in the observation deck at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, with 11 a.m. Pacific Time. And we host Experiencers Anonymous every Saturday, and we switch between this platform and Zoom settings, Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
I have to turn my mic off because there's other people talking. So let me just if you just let's see if I can do this. Hi guys, I'm live right now on our podcast in the expo hall, but I'm showing them on a screencast right now on how this works. So you're live with me right now. You can't hear me. Oh, they can't hear me. Look at this. See, look at that. So there's a little thing here. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So surprise, you guys are live right now because I'm showing our audience at the end of our podcast here how this works. So
hey everybody,
say hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Nice to see you all.
Can you hear them? Can you hear them, Cece?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So yeah, this is how it works. So we're just interacting, all talking, but we're in avatars. And I'm trying to figure out how do I show my avatar? How do I change my camera here?
Go to your name and choose view. Choose view avatar.
All right, so you can see how this is like accurate, like the nice facial hair that I always have. You know?
Cool sunglasses.
Cool sunglasses. You know, the Heine cat. You know, you get to be whoever you are, and you get to have a fun little chat. So why don't we take our viewers for a tour? I guess.
Yeah, let's go to the experts hall where we.
You want to do that? Okay, I think we'll do that because our guest had another commitment, so we're just we're just having fun for the last little bit. So let me
take them on the boat.
I was gonna do that because I think Dave would appreciate the boat. So how do I go back to normal camera? There we go.
Yep, normal camera.
Okay, well have fun.
Okay, you too.
Let
Bye.
us know if you need us.
I will. See ya. All right, so here we go. So this is it. I'm just touring around. So whenever there's expos and things like that, you know, this is where we'll be. So where do you find us? So when you're in here, if you go to the Experiencer Hall, so you just click that, this will bring us. So this is where we are. So there's a little bit of inception right now. In here, so there, if you go to, there might be a little echo here. Yeah, so there's going to be a little echo, right? Bring it. So this is where we are. So there's a little bit of inception right now in here. Yeah. So there, if you go to, there might be a little echo here. Yeah, so there's going to be a little echo, right? Great. Okay, so I had to leave in order to do that, but basically that's where the room is playing right now if you're inside the Experiencer Hall, and I could see you on the other stuff and your chat and whatnot and talk, but we can sit and have this or stand and walk around and experience this world. So I'll take you on a tour in a minute, but the other thing too is come expo time, we have a booth in the expo hall, which again might echo. I apologize in advance.
No, you should be fine in the expo hall.
Well, if the videos play, we don't know.
Yeah.
So in the expo hall, you just kind of go down here, and if you really wanted to, and you can have a seat and just wait, other people can pop in. There's a lot of things you can kind of do, but
you can see how many people are in World 2 at the very top there. It says 3 users in World right now, and then you can kind of see who's in and go find those folks and hang.
Exactly. And then you can go to them directly too. These little pods over here, these little tables, these little rings. So if we're having that conversation out here and I wanted to have a private conversation, I just go in here and that little ding lets me know that whoever's inside this circle is whoever can hear me right now. So it allows you to have private conversations, and we're going to be using this a lot more often as we start to, once the website's launched and we have more of a routine where, well, I think maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to just hang out in here afterwards and have these like in-person chats, and we can sit, and then look at each other too. It's kind of hard, but you can move your head around and actually imagine you have friends and they're sitting here and you're talking to them. So it's kind of a very neat thing. And especially with EA, and I tried it too, to see if it would work. And I got tricked into talking about my own experience because I felt comfortable. I felt like I was alone and all these other things. So, I'll show you the boat ride. Don't you worry. I'll save that for last. You stick around to the end. So in the expo hall, where you get to see a bunch of all the other partners, Tessa right there at the end, right there. But there's a bunch of other people in here.
There's some really great information in here, and you can check out
explore and go. And I'll save us for last. But you can do a whole bunch of things. I like to come in here and say hi to Grant Cameron. He's there. Check that out. I don't know. What's something I was going to do, but where is he? He's somewhere. Let me
Grand
find.
Cameron, you passed him.
No,
Yeah.
no, I said hello. Hold on here.
Oh,
That's 1 second. Where are we? Oh no, he moved him. You're lucky. You're lucky. I won't name you. He's like Voldemort. The name we won't name. You know.
Ah.
Let me see if I can find him. Let me see if I can find him.
yeah. There's always new stuff coming up in here. I'm always walking around.
Well, they changed a bunch of things around too, so you can customize the settings as well if you do have an expo in here. I do know that it was around here, so let me see here. Can I change this at the top? Will you let me? Yeah, there you go. Hi. Hi, person.
Oh, what? Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's in mid setting, so obviously his booth's not being used right now. But anyways,
Okay.
I can take some selfies over there, having fun over here. So anyways, go over to the guy who is responsible for my boost into ufology, Mr. Richard Dolan. Hello, sir. Still waiting for him to show up and use his booth so I can say hello to him. But anyways, this is us. So over here, we can sit down and have a conversation inside our booth, and we can talk and have some intimate conversations. We have all our stuff here in our booth too, where you can actually come here and make a report.
Yeah.
There's our website right there. You can see a whole bunch of things. All these links are clickable, which will bring you to all the things that they're talking about. Information about the Experiencers Anonymous, it's all here. All that fun stuff.
Yeah, we hosted E-Day, Experiencer Day in this setting.
Mm-hmm.
It worked really well.
So there's other places that you can hang out in. So we also have an office. So I don't know if you guys can. Let me show you the office here. This is a backstage pass because admin gets into the office here, but. So he's just down here, just down the hall. This is our office right here. We just sit in. If you want to have a meeting, just come on in, have a seat, and then we can talk face to face, just like that. It's virtual, it's interactive, but it really makes a difference when we're actually just sitting there looking at this avatar, and it's very good, especially for some people who have anxiety and don't want to get out and do a bunch of things. You kind of have that feeling of like we're there without actually being there. The main auditorium is essentially where there's already a show going on.
Move forward.
I just crashed a party. Let's get out of here.
But we may not get that chance.
Sorry, so there's already another show happening on in there. So it's almost like a virtual expo hall. So it's a campus. So special events. What do we got here? Let's go to the theater. So there is also a theater.
Yeah, the art gallery is one of my favorites. I go there almost every time I'm in a world.
So I like these kinds of movie theaters when nobody's there. Just sit right in the middle, zoom in. If something's playing, you click the zoom and then you can watch it. So it's like it's like you're there. But then at the same time, you're like, hey, this is boring. I wanna go out and have a conversation. Perfect, no problem. Let's go over here and chat. Right. So it also allows you to communicate in the chat with each other as well, because we can talk and say, yo, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we start doing events and stuff, we will be in here when I complete the training for the academy. It will be inside here. So I will be teaching you guys how to investigate inside here, as well as in person in some places too. But so if let's go to the art gallery, and then I'll show you one of the classrooms. So you like the art gallery, right?
Oh yeah, you don't have to go to the art gallery, but yeah, sure.
Oh, if it works, let's see here.
I don't know if you can.
Oh yeah, there we go. So here's the art gallery.
Yeah, so you've got to walk up to each of the screens there to see the art.
All right, tell me when to stop, and then that's who the random person gets free marketing. Tell me when to stop.
Right now. I don't know
Okay.
where you are.
I'm
It's
just going straight. All right, Olaf Rockner. Hello.
Oh, I really
Congratulations.
like Olaf. What does he have? Oh, that's newish. I've
Mhm.
seen that one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here comes Matt. Is that Matt? Hello.
Hello.
Still live. Just letting you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's just a professional courtesy because they should don't want to know they're not being broadcast on whatever. But yeah, see how simple that was. Other people in the world doing their own thing, and then we're just and if I really wanted to go talk to them, I could, but we're because we're live right now, and that we don't really want to do that. So we got lounges, which also have a nightclub. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of fun, so you can have parties and stuff in here. They had a New Year's celebration in this room as well. So, music playing. I don't know how they had it. I guess they had music over there and people were just mingling and talking. And I guess they were drinking at home. Like, I don't know how they really did it. But, like, you can really have some fun because you can do, like, give her.
You can dance it.
Look at that. Dance is better than me. Look at that. Or, you can really do a lot of things to be social and interactive and all these other things, which is fun. You can also let me do this. I like to do this every time I'm in here. And the captain here. I hope you won't get mad at me for doing this, but where is it? So, is it conference hall? Where are you, sir? Nope, maybe he is. Go to office tower number 2. I think he's in number 2. Yeah, there we go. So this is the observation deck headquarters. So we head in there. Mr. Fancy Pants has a chair to sit on. Oh, I was going to leave another memo because I didn't think he saw my memo, but my memo is still there from last time. So he clearly hasn't been in his office since. But anyway, so you can leave these memos and have fun. It's like here I am having fun doing this, but you could really, for us, we can just be like, hey, you want to meet on observation deck and then talk and have our conversations, and then like as we're fiddling, really as we're discussing business and stuff. We really don't use it as often as we should, but we want to get more people on it. It is free right now if you download the software and engage in that. Let me see. Meeting hall rooftop. I think that's new. Yeah, that's new. Oh yeah.
That's I don't know. I'm calling this the concert stage.
That's cool. I can cheer. Yay. Capoeira. Look at that. Look at my moves. Mad skills, yo. So anyways, I guess music would play and then people would just I don't know how this experience would work, but it's there's it's just a way we got to bring people in here to do some stuff. So we will be planning some stuff as well to get in here. So let's go to
the beach.
Well, let's go to soccer field, which is near the beach.
Yeah.
The soccer field, you can go around here and I can give the old kick here. Let's see.
It's hard to control the ball.
Almost got it. There you go. See? Nothing but net. Wrong game. No, that's the wrong game. Yeah. But anyways, I wonder if I can kick it over here in this office. No. Boundaries. What's over here? Contact cubby. Cool. So you can also lock the doors and things like that too. So it's like, hey, see you later. Can I get? Oh, I did get the ball in here. I might have hacked it. But you know, these little walls too. There's a picture here, but if I wanted to, you know, I could say, you know, here's our website. You know, I can just, you know, I can use it as a screen, right? So to, you know, we're sitting in here on the table having a conversation. I can use it to share whatever I need to share. So there's a lot of things like that. We can play videos. We can do whatever. I can let the people out when I'm done talking to them, you know. So let's go to the beach, which is just down the way there. 1 second here.
There's the boat.
And then the boat. So it's also kind of cool up, where was it? It's near here, isn't it? The top of the hill where we were going to do EA. Where's that circle?
That circle.
I like how you can hear the birds. You can hear the water. Everything's good. But as soon as I go in here, quiet. We can sit down, have a conversation, look at these boats that Dave Petrella really wants us to go on. You know, so we're gonna go on those right now. So you can also get on one of these boats and either sit in it or you can.
You got to get in the driver's seat.
You got to get in the driver's seat. Then you can just cruise around, but you can sit like 3 or 4 people in there and have your conversation while you're fiddling. Okay? So it's like, you know, so next, you know, we're having a chit chat, talking about all these other things. I'm gonna go, you know, I'm gonna kind of go all the way around here, and then we could have a private conversation, and people can leave us alone because then, like, you know, sometimes when we do events and stuff, people will want to have a conversation, and you can, but then, you know, you wanna, you know, come around and do that. There's other boats here too if you want to dock. I play too many video games. My skills are showing.
I couldn't even get the boat to operate last time I was in World. Somebody else came and helped me. Yeah, I was like, why
look at that! Look at that drift. Bam. All right, so hey, Dave, are you ready for this? I'm gonna go to the edge. I'm gonna go to the edge. This is for you, man. What do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's gonna happen?
I don't know. Ice wall?
We're almost there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. I hit a firmament because even this world here is flat. This is a dome. This world is a dome.
Oh, dear.
There's a wall. Oh, no. Why would they put that in a video game? I don't know. Subliminal? I don't know. I don't know.
To keep us from falling off the edge, I guess.
I guess. Yeah, I guess. That's the glass dome. Yeah, you see, he's watching. That's it. That's exactly it. It must be. You know, who knows? Who knows? So anyways, that's it. That's the observation deck. That's so I mean, we always want to try and get you guys on there, but we need to do more events inside with these people as well. That's outside of what we're doing. We do know that it is challenging to get in here. And if you're just watching the video while in here and you're watching it on YouTube too, you know, what's the point? Because you can still watch it. But we will be eventually doing exclusive content in here. So you would only be only allowed to see it while being inside because we need that interaction. You know, we need to, and that allows us to talk privately and keep it not recorded, and still social. So to get the app, just go to the website, click download the app, and then install it, and then you'll get a username and password. And then, like I said, it's free right now. Eventually, there will be a membership. What you also get with that is access to other conferences. So like, you know, Stephen Bassett, you know, he's done a few things. There's been some other events in the past. So you do have access to certain events and a way to connect to Richard Dolan if Richard Dolan does do an event up there. Lou Elizondo, love him or hate him, you will be able to meet him if he ever does that. You know, which is what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for him to go in here, because then I'm going to go right to his booth and be like, hey, pal, we got to chat, because you can't stop me there unless, you know, so I'm waiting for that one. But so it's very interactive. There's a schedule here that kind of lets everybody know where to be. And so that's the observation deck. And I think that brought us close to the hour. We made it.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. And we'll be in there Saturday, so for EA at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, so actually, let's show everybody too. So if you go to the website right now, happy in the W's, tessacan.org, excuse me, and you click Experiencer Portals, go to Events, Experiencers Anonymous, or just type tessacan.org/EA. Ouch. Don't stab yourself with a pen. And scroll down here. And you fill out this contact information. But this contact information will give you direct instructions to your email on how to connect if you find it too complicated. We also do it in Zoom on the alternating weekends as well.
Yeah.
But this is free. It's for you to share your experiences. We have had a conversation today about the possibility of having some special events with EA in which I would make myself readily available should somebody want to pop in and share a negative experience that involves some sort of crime or harassment. We were talking about that today. So we're just trying to figure out a way to implement it that it makes sense and that it doesn't imply that something bad is happening. But in light of the recent negativity that we've been seeing on Twitter, just kind of feel like with this safe space for experiencers to share their extraterrestrial and paranormal experiences, without me breaking the own rule where I'm not there, so I'm not doing the investigation, so you guys can feel comfortable, because it's hard for me to have that conversation. It's really hard for me to be a host sometimes, because I'm all like, hey, but I mean, that's a challenge on its own. But then I think we kind of agreed that it might make sense that if someone was there and they wanted to anonymously report some harm or some crime, then Cece could message me, I'll pop in, and then we'll have that conversation anonymously, not recorded, and then get the information so I can take an actual crime report from you. And then that would give us consent to mediate the problem on your behalf without identifying you. So currently we have that available on our website with the report of fraud or a crime, but you do have to identify yourself and provide some evidence, so that way we're able to determine how to use the resources. But some people might not be comfortable sharing their name right away. So that's something we're thinking about. If you like that idea, put it in the comments below, send us an email, and maybe we'll make it happen. But
yeah, at the very least, we can say we have that available and offer it up and see if they would like it. But I like Dave Petrola's comment here. He says hot air balloon would be great too. I actually agree.
Because you want to see if it goes to how high up to the top it goes, right? You want to see if the dome goes all the way around. I like your thinking. But that's good. No, I'm glad you guys stuck around and we're having fun. And thank you, Sylvain, if you are watching this part on the replay, because we're doing it, and everyone from the observation deck who I just crashed your meeting on. Sorry about that, but at least we're letting everybody know what's up. And what other news do we have for Tessa? Nothing really. Just the website. We're waiting.
Yeah, so just expect changes with the website. That's coming soon, but we'll have updates as it gets near.
You know what? I want to end with one of our new little videos. Let me end with that. Remember that little commercial thing?
Yeah.
Let me bring this up. So we're also working on making our commercial breaks a little bit smaller, and more often. So this is our new commercial that will eventually be on our channel to use to advertise other people, advertise to bring everybody onto the show. I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear it if I play it?
Yeah, I hear it.
Okay. So if you can hear it, so then what I'm going to do is share my screen, because I thought I was already, but I'm not. And then you can see it. So one second here. Da-da-dum. So let me share my screen. And Cece, thank you for being a champ and being here tonight to assist us when we knew that we were going to have a shorter. Oh, my screen is being shared already. I just don't have it on the thing. Oh. Yeah, and also thank you for your help prepping me for the show today, because I've been very busy this week, and you really helped me knock it out of the park. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, check this out. So I've been working on some of those. Lisa, I see your comment. Hold on, Lisa. Hold on a second here. So Lisa says, Ryan, don't hate me for saying the earth is round in my book. I do not hate anyone, FYI. I do not know for a fact one way or the other. I just like it's not knowing. You're an experiencer. Many other experiencers could testify and say that they know the shape. You have more experience than I do, because if these events that have happened to you allow you to see things that I'm unable to see, I'm not going to challenge that. I'm just saying that I need to see it. I want to know. I believe you, but I mean, only the truth of your own experience, right? So, and I'm also trying to understand, some people see it differently, right? So there's why is there a difference? It should be should be on the same page, right? So that's why I like having this conversation, because it's really quick to anger people, and for me, when people are angered, you start to see true colors, and you start to see true agendas and motives, and then you can break that all down. You can start to understand why they are the way that they are. I will not hate them for that. I just understand that. Case in point, when the news broke about the Lou Elizondo Who's Lou video, and they learned that I was involved in that, even though it was minimal, even though I was involved with that, people got mad. And when people got mad, all these people that were mad did some silly things, and then it really exposed who they really were. And it also showed who they were really connected with, because they band up and they created teams, and those teams are now attacking people, right or wrong. I wasn't, I didn't say one way or another, but it created, by making these people mad, I was able to see who they really were. So when I ask these questions, like what shape is the earth at the end of this, it's just to see how long it takes for them to think. Because if they take a long time to think, sorry, my cat is in heat. When the length of time between understanding the question and answering the question is long, that is hesitation, which might be sometimes used to suggest that they may be questioning it themselves. And even if they're questioning something that is a known fact based on what we're told, that tells me something about the individual, that they're not quite sure that they believe what they're told. And that's what I'm trying to get an understanding of, whether they trust what we're told. Now, that is also applied to anything, because it's connected to the government. So if the earth is not the shape as we've been told, that is the lie of all lies. and that everything crumbles, and that's why it just angers some people.
Mhm. I
But to
think the
me,
right word is triggered, because
triggered, yeah.
I was triggered when you started talking about flat Earth. Myself, I had a hard time with Sorry Not Sorry segment. I'm watching it in the background, just like cringing, shaking violently. And then it took me, some self-reflection, like why is that so upsetting to me? It's such
Yeah, why
a
did that make you angry? Because
yeah.
because you're questioning it, and you're like, maybe it's right, but no, it can't be right. That's wrong, but maybe it is. But I don't trust this. And then that, by seeing that and having you go through that, just it's not to convince you. It's to understand that even the smartest of smart people, in some situations, as we have on the show, are still unsure about the one thing we should be sure about. It's about being certain, and we
Mhm.
should be able to trust what the government and what science tells us. And if we can't,
Mhm.
what can we trust them with? Because
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
we can trust them, then there would be no question. So we internally
Yeah.
cannot trust these sources wholeheartedly, but can we
Yeah, that's
trust them with
exactly it.
something? Yeah.
That's what it broke down to for me, because then I said, that's the
Hmm.
foundational trigger is,
Hmm.
in essence, if the world is flat, or if there's some, lie here,
Hmm.
then basically everything I think I know to a degree is dismantling. And I've already gone through that with, the
And
whole,
that's why so many
ET.
people get mad about it, because they
Mhm.
just, all this school and all this science, all this stuff and blah blah blah, you got to be wrong, it can't be right. And then you look outside and you're thinking about it, it makes sense, and it's that feeling. But that doesn't mean it's true. It's just understanding how those are coming to the conclusion. But if you look at our in antiquity and mythology, a lot of people believe that, and then it changed, and that could be because evolution, or because science has changed, or maybe a cover up. Who knows? We don't really know. There's a lot of things to implant that thought. But the
Mhm.
whole idea of us being lied to and being inside a bubble or a machine or something of some sort, you know, is scary. And I think what I'm observing is not hesitation or uncertainty. I think it's fear. And what I'm seeing is that there's a bit of a belief that they don't want it to be true. But what if it is true? And even if it is true, the shape of the earth shouldn't matter. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
the only thing it changes is the realization that we may have been lied to, and that's just the ultimate lie of
Yeah.
all lies, the one that will destroy all governments and all societies, if that was proven to be true. But you can't prove that unless you go to space. But the same concept is used in all conspiracies, where you're trying to say the government lies. The government lies about a whole bunch of things. So the people in the flat Earth movement have feelings too, and they're just focusing on the fact that the government's lying. The cats are fighting.
Fighting?
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, Dave. So good segment. Good point, Dave. Thank you for plugging your own self, because this is a perfect lead. So Lisa, if you hate me, you might hate Dave, because on the 25th of March, for his episode, he is going to do a flat Earth presentation. So and he's gonna share why he believes in the possibility of us being on a flat Earth plane at the very least, and how it's associated with the map. If you haven't seen any of his previous episodes, head over to the Experiential Support Association on this YouTube channel, and check out East of Astrology, which is his podcast. So this will be episode number 3. Hopefully I'll have some time to, Dave, to make your intro and outro, but I've been swamped. So, but we'll get there. And
Lisa says I don't hate you, Ryan.
no,
Yeah,
it's
well, I'll be
okay.
triggered together as Dave
That's okay.
talks about flat
Yeah,
Earth.
it's it's how you just think about how it makes you feel. All right, because as Sylvain said earlier, it's critical thinking. We have to think of all the possibilities and then come back to our known truths to question whether or not that is the actual truth. And like, as I said, the shape of the earth doesn't matter. What we're afraid of is the realization that what we've been told is a lie, which means if that's a lie, everything else is a lie. So that's why we're triggered, because we've been indoctrinated for how many years about certain things, and then to be told that it was a facade, all for no reason. That is a legitimate fear for anyone to carry.
Yeah.
But yet, innocent until proven guilty, and that's why I like his oblique, fair answer, right in the middle, combination of all theories.
Yeah.
Because somewhere in the middle is the truth. That's exactly where it is. So, don't know. I don't think I'll be able to solve that one in my lifetime. Unless we go to Antarctica. We might have to do an expedition or something and see what
Search
happens.
for the ice wall.
No.
Yeah.
Anybody in Australia, take a photo. That's all I need you to do. Boat out there, sail out there, and take a photo, and then solve this once and for all. That's it. That's all we need to see. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. Yeah. So Lisa says, wish everyone could see it, but the cost of space travel is stupid. Yeah, we might see it in our lifetime where it ends up being, really reasonable with all the SpaceX and Blue Origin stuff going on. So who knows?
Hey, if it's affordable, I will do it, and I will wear a hidden camera inside my hidden camera, inside of all my hidden cameras, so that way when they search me for everything, I still have one. And I will find, and I will agree, and I will sign, and then I will leak that video to someone else to release.
Yeah, the only time you'll see me lose my mind on that subject is if it's cheaper to go to space than it is to travel by flight within our own country, because it's pretty darn expensive to fly from Canada.
I think a lot of people will be mad about that. All right, well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Cece, we'll see you hopefully on Saturday for EA.
Yeah.
Uncharted Case Files will be back at some point once I have more time. But yeah, thanks. That's it. Heed the world.
Heed the world, everyone. Bye.
That's it, everybody. That is a wrap. That is the end of it all. Thank you for joining me tonight. I look forward to seeing you back next week, where we'll continue to have this conversation deep down into the rabbit hole in which we call the ultra spectrum. Thanks for joining us. I said that already. Oh well, fuck it. Heed the world.